Good morning and welcome. This is our normal Facebook Live. It's a little different timeline today or this month just because we've got lots of great things going on here in the city of Gresham. Today we have Brian Monberg. He's our executive director for our Gresham redevelopment process there in Rockwood. And so welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor. Really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about our program this morning.
Excellent. So we're going to be talking about urban renewal, which is, for a lot of folks, an interesting concept. It's something that they can sometimes see in practice because we take areas that need improvement and we invest in those areas specifically through what we call urban renewal. So we'll touch on that just a little bit. But really, we want to talk about some of the things that are going on, the positive things that are going on, some of the changes that they're seeing, those types of things. So first and foremost, urban renewal. Let's just talk about kind of the underlying concept of what that is. What are your thoughts around what we consider or call urban renewal?
Great. Thank you, Mayor. So urban renewal is an opportunity for the city to be able to receive funds, capital funds, through a process called tax increment financing. And there's a little bit of technical work around that, but essentially what it allows for is to have capital dollars that go into an urban renewal district that can be spent on a variety of community uses, primarily around capital needs or grants that could go out to businesses or homes. And so here in the city of Gresham, we currently have an urban renewal district, generally speaking, in the Rockwood community. And there is a boundary for that urban renewal area. Generally, it runs along 181st, roughly from I-84 to Yamhill near Vance Park, and then along Stark Street. And so a lot of that investment intention has been in what we've often called the Rockwood Town Center, and that is the triangle, if you will, between Burnside, Stark, and 181st. And so over the last 20 years, the city's had an opportunity to fund a variety of investments in that urban renewal district, and we're very pleased to see the voter support last year in May of 2022 to extend the urban renewal program another 6 years for investments.
Excellent. I did say we want to focus on the kind of the big picture of what's going on, but I do want to touch on just one technical piece that you kind of alluded to just there. When we think about, you said something called tax increment financing. So this TIF for short, I hear some folks say, but when you hear about tax increment financing, some folks think, well, does that mean my taxes go up? Let's just briefly kind of talk about that before we jump into some of the exciting things that are going on, talk about some of the positive things and potentially a few of the challenges that we experience as we launch new and innovative ideas. But do taxes go up when you implement an urban renewal?
Yeah. That is a great question. I think a really important distinction to make in that no taxes go up as part of this. It's really an opportunity to allocate existing property tax revenue to the type of community investments that we want to see in our district.
Now, I always say, or initially I used to say, no taxes go up, but no taxes go up outside of kind of the normal tax increases, because part of it, in a sense, is there's an improvement that goes on within the community, and so that improvement, taxes can go up because the property values go up, essentially, but nothing more. It's not costing the community any additional dollars or tax dollars in that regard, right?
That's correct.
Got it. So that's something that I think is very beneficial for communities as we see areas that need that substantial improvement. How do we get there? Many times, private sector capital isn't always available to make those improvements, and this type of solution is there to help do that. Now, it's not just private side. A lot of folks see buildings that go up and things like that, but it can also help us out on public infrastructure. So before we jump to what's going on with the Sunrise Center, that area, what's going on in downtown Rockwood, let's talk about some of the public improvements. So 181st and Sandy Boulevard. There's some substantial improvements that have gone on there, correct? And part of that was the urban renewal?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So what is so exciting about urban renewal is that it can go to the types of infrastructure investments that we need that really could help with mobility for businesses to access 84 roads, or importantly, safety. And so typically what happens is we can contribute to a project to really help fill a gap in finance to make sure a project can really get fully financed. So we work very closely in partnership with our transportation team. And yeah, over the last 20 years, there's been a number of transportation improvements, as you mentioned, along Sandy Boulevard, and some of those construction improvements that the community may see there, along 181st. We've also, over the last 20 years, made investments along 187th and 188th. And in addition to that, we've also invested in some public buildings. So the public safety building that's located on 181st was also an investment by Urban Renewal.
So that's excellent to hear. I mean, because I think a lot of folks see the kind of what's going on in downtown Rockwood, but don't realize some of the substantial improvements that are gone on throughout the community in many ways are benefited by the urban renewal. Especially, you know, I watched, if you're a cyclist or at all, and you use Sandy Boulevard, the improvements there have been substantial as regards to safety, traffic traffic flow. All those things have benefited from those improvements. And just as you said, other benefits and other improvements that have gone on throughout the community have been very critical. So appreciate understanding and better hearing kind of how those impacts occur. Now, when we think about, again, what's going on some of the utilizing the private side of the dollars, because one of the benefits is leveraging both the public input in investments and with the private input in investments. And so the Sunrise site, that actually is something that's getting ready to get redeveloped. Talk to us a bit more about what's going on with the Sunrise site, where it is, because we know it as the Sunrise site, but I don't think everybody in our community knows it as the Sunrise site. So if you could talk about kind of location first, and then talk about where we are in the process of looking at the redevelopment of that important parcel.
Great, thank you. So the site that we talk about, the Sunrise site, is a 2-acre property located at the corner of Burnside and 188th. And you may be very familiar with it because that is the MAC station with the Rockwood fan, really that kind of signature sculpture that we see right in the heart of downtown Rockwood. And in fact, we see right above us.
So, yes, right here.
What you see here is, you know, we've had a big investment over the last several years in downtown Rockwood. This new investment is located essentially right across the street from that. And this property was purchased by the commission in 2016 with the intent to really ensure that the development of that property could be done in a way that would be really supportive of the community. Mm-hmm. And so the next steps on that is that over the last couple years, the city did have a selection process, an RFP that went out to look for development partners, because often for sites like this, it's really critical to have the public-private partnership. And the intent is to really have some amount of public funds, some amount of the urban renewal investment that can really leverage and support a significant private investment that would bring important community uses. So last year, as part of that RFP process, the commission made a decision to move forward with a development partner to really explore this site and say, let's really look at it and assess what can be built there, what would be a program, and how would that program really help support the work underway in Rockwood. And so over the last 6 months, with the decision that the Gresham Redevelopment Commission made, staff, myself, has been working with the development team, HMS Development, to really look at that 2-acre site and what would be a good development proposal for that site that could be financed, could be built, and really aligned with both the vision of the city and the Redevelopment Commission, as well as all of the community feedback that we've been hearing over the last 5 to 10 years in the Rockwood community. And so we're really excited about some of the refinements to that proposal that has been done over the last 6 months.
Very cool. And when would we be looking at or thinking about when we'll see dirt turn, as you say, in development?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mayor. And I will add, we have information about the project on our website, the Urban Renewal website on the City of Gresham homepage. And we stepped through a little bit about that timeline. And where we are right now is trying to do that additional planning work with the intent that with commission approval about the proposal for the development, the next step would then be going through the city planning process for approvals, building review, and also working to finalize the financing for it. And the preliminary timeline that we have that we propose is that if we're able to move forward with that schedule with good agreement about what the design is, good agreement about moving through the community process around the planning work, that construction could start as soon as 2025 or 2026 with construction. So it takes a few years, but we also want to ensure that over the next couple years, we really ensure that it's the right development for that site and for the Rockwood community.
Got it. Very cool. Very exciting. It's very, as you see, out goes the old, in comes the new. And like you said, you want to make sure, and we want to make sure that the development project is right for that area, right for that community, right for what we need. But then also, it's exciting to see how it's going to be redeveloped. Now, in regards to what's going on in Urban Renewal, we also have downtown Rockwood, which clearly we can see here. We've got a new building that's going in here. Tell us about this one that's going up.
Yeah, thank you. So on the downtown Rockwood site, the full proposal for build-out would include 3 buildings. So there's currently an office building that has a number of uses that are really supportive of workforce and job development. There's the market hall, and then this is the 3rd and final building that's currently under construction. And this is going to be Aviva Apartments, so it's going to be a new apartment building, really focused on workforce housing in downtown Rockwood. Construction is proceeding. It's going well. Actually completed the 2nd story concrete pour right over December, January. The intent is to be working through the framing over the next couple months with the intent for construction to be complete early next year, so about springtime next year. And then the intent will be to lease up the apartment homes on the site, as well as on the ground floor there's going to be a retail space that's currently getting finalized. And we've been working with the development partner to really identify community supportive uses for that ground floor retail. So we've heard a lot of things, and we're going to continue to work to find who the right partner is to really occupy the ground floor of that building once it's complete.
Got it. So furthermore, so if we talk about what's in downtown Rockwood, now this is a residential building with retail down below. And then we've got 2 other buildings. We've got the Rockwood Market Hall, which we're working with and on. And then we've got, is it commercial or office above both of those?
It is office space, and we've been really excited to see the supportive office space in Rockwood, and feel like it really is adding to the community fabric and the vibrancy to have so many new people working in Rockwood every day that can really contribute to a job base. So one is really an office building that's really catered toward workforce development. So uses like Mount Hood Community College has their small business center there. Wallace Medical is also provides a variety of really important medical uses and health resources for the community. And there's also a daycare on that property. In the market hall, there is going to also be office space on the 2nd and 3rd floor that is almost leased up. My understanding is primarily by Multnomah County staff.
Very cool. We've got a question. I've got one more question. I got one more question for you, and then we'll move to the question, the live question. So the market hall specifically, the market hall is a brand new innovative idea about how do we encourage micro enterprises, so to speak. We've got smaller slots in there. These micro enterprises. We've been working with micro enterprise MISO organization here as we launch some of those new businesses. With new and innovative ideas, there's always potentially challenges that you encounter, and then we've got to iterate from there. So we've got to adjust. We've got to make sure we're listening and make sure that we're iterating. We've seen some of that so far with our market hall experience. It launched last June, as when it opened. I can't recall specifically when it opened, but I believe it was around June of 2022.
Yeah, that's right. It's been open for about 10 months now. So we're in the 1st year of operation. We've been really excited to work with the management company that oversees the site, and like you said, a variety of partners to support it, like MISO and some other business supports on site. And very excited. I'd love to encourage everyone who's online today to stop by to shop or grab lunch or dinner on the site. There's a really dynamic community of merchants that are currently there. But as you mentioned, we continue to work on getting full lease up and really making sure that that building really functions in a way that really supports the long-term community needs on the site. So I will say we've had some really good and robust discussions. As part of our process with Urban Renewal, we have regular meetings with both an advisory committee that meets monthly as well as the commission. It's called the Redevelopment Commission, but it is comprised of the members of City Council, and we just had a very robust discussion about this at the commission meeting yesterday. And so we're continuing to learn how that property can evolve and adapt to really serve the community.
Exactly. I think sometimes we get feedback that you didn't do it right or you didn't do it this way, and nobody I can tell you right now, nobody has full knowledge of everything, how everything is going to play out. And so being open to adjustments and being open to what we call in the startup space pivot to ensure that the product and what we're trying to create moves towards success. And I can tell you that nobody has full knowledge to fully implement everything. Yeah. And so I'm excited about the opportunity that we have there and how we're going to iterate I'll consider that product to one that really benefits those that are starting these micro businesses and micro enterprises, and how do we support that specific type of entrepreneur. So thank you. Let's go to Sarah Sagan with the question.
Rain has asked, whatever happened to the planned supermarket that was supposed to be built at this site?
I am actually unaware of a supermarket that was going to be built there. Historically, Fred Meyer was there, and the Fred Meyer site was part of that site that the city purchased years ago, and so I am unaware of a supermarket. Brian, I'll turn to you and
Thank you, Mayor.
See what the history is there.
As you mentioned, there was a Fred Meyer supermarket formerly on the site, and over the last 5 years in the planning process for that property at the Market Hall, what I would say is that there was definitely an identified need for additional grocery spaces within the Rockwood community, and so that was understood as really important given the food needs within the Rockwood community. So the Market Hall does include leasable space for up to 4 smaller groceries, and the idea would be to have a specific vendor around produce or bakery or daily food needs. And as part of this initial lease up over this first 10 months, first year, the management team has been actively looking to identify the right grocers that would fit what we've been hearing in public engagement. So
absolutely,
culturally responsive grocers. There's a very dynamic mix of food businesses on the site, and there's been some really great conversations about what would be the right grocer that would fit both the needs of the community as well as fit into the community of merchants that are currently on the site. So we're very hopeful that by this summer we'll be able to really announce kind of the next steps on leasing up that final grocery space within the Market Hall.
And that will be more of a micro grocery solution rather than a large format grocery solution like the Albertsons. That's not too far from this site. But food deserts, it's a real thing. So Rain, you asked a great question, and we're constantly talking to the area grocers about ensuring that we don't have these food deserts throughout our city. And if we think about it, really on the south end of 181st, before you get to the Safeway, it's all the way down past Powell. There's a pretty big gap between that north end Albertsons and that south end Safeway. So, there used to be a grocery store right there on 181st and Division, back in the day in that area. So certainly something that we've got to continue as a city to work with our grocers on, so that we don't have these food deserts in place. But again, I wasn't aware. I've been mayor for about 2 years. Ever since I've been on board, haven't heard about a large format grocery store going specifically into that site. But certainly we have those more micro grocery solutions, ensuring that healthy food also is healthy, fresh. Things like fruits and vegetables should be available at that site if we can find the right purveyor to go in and make those available. I know we're probably getting close to our time, so I want to make sure we get to a couple of questions that we got from our viewers before the feed started. Brian, I want to thank you for the opportunity to hear more about downtown Rockwood, Urban Renewal. Greatly appreciate your leadership in that space and area. A couple of quick questions that we received. I want to know, this is from Marie Porconi. I want to know what's going on with in this reference was a $30 fee that goes on our sewer for police, fire, and parks. Why haven't we heard anything about that? We actually, as a council, in our council meetings have talked extensively and spoken extensively about the fee and potentially where that's going to go. And it's actually $15 per month. So it's a $15 per month fee, a $750 permanent fee, and a $750 temporary. So we've talked about the potential of what that's going to look like as we go forward. And there's been proposals about how we can adjust that with this safety levy that's going to go out. Part of that is going to be in conjunction with the safety levy. So the council is going to continue to deliberate this between now and the safety levy and post the safety levy to ensure that we've got the right funding mechanisms in place to take care of our city. And so stay tuned. The council will be having this in the discourse in our normal council meeting, so please stay tuned. But we've also talked about what the proposal is on a fee structure to keep us going forward as a city to ensure that we can cover our costs. And as you've heard me say numerous times, we're about $40 million less in our general fund than like-sized cities in the state of Oregon. $40 million less as a city, and we have to provide all the same services: police, fire, parks, everything. We have to provide under that budget of our general fund. So please, Marie, please stay posted and stay tuned with the council discussions around how that fee structure is going to adjust. We've got Rain, who I believe it may have been the same person that just asked us about the large format or grocery store. I keep saying large format, assuming that was the question, but it could just be a grocery store of some sort. And Rain asked the question about the steel gas get shot sign that's on an apartment complex down on 174th. Rain, yeah, I'm the mayor of the city, and I can tell you that that's not something that I appreciate or want to see in our city. But the flip side of that is that we do respect freedom of speech, and they have the right to have that freedom of speech on their property. And as much as I would love to see those signs come down, really, we must respect their ability to have a voice. And I'm sure you would respect that also if you had something that you were looking to get your voice heard on, and it was purely on your property. That's the piece that we have there. So it's really not something we can do directly. What we can do is an answer to the last question that we received from Clara Wallace, and Clara asked, what can I be doing as the mayor to do a better job addressing homelessness and crime in our community? And Claire, great question, and this is aligned with my answer for Rain, and that is we've actually launched our Safe Gresham initiative, which is prevention, intervention, and collaboration, and that's been going since last year, and we have seen incredible results. We've got a long way to go, though. I understand that. Part of that is the safety levy that I was just referencing, and that Marie asked us about in conjunction with that fee. And we have to move forward. From a police per thousand, that's kind of a national statistic that they use. We're about one police per thousand folks that live in our city. One. The national average is higher than 2. So we're about 50% less than the national average police per thousand. We do need more boots on the ground, but it's not just about police. I have full confidence in our police department and the great work that they do. But as many of you know, we need additional services. We need mental health services to help address things in our community. And from a national perspective, it's pretty sad, our response to mental health services in our country. We've got to do a better job. Our Safe Gresham initiative also looks at prevention. How do we ensure that we're engaging people at every single level, making sure that we're reaching out to our youth? Many times, a lot of what's going on from a violent crime perspective is happening with youth between the ages of 14 and 22. We've got a phenomenal team that we've brought on there that works closely with our law enforcement, with our crisis response team, with our mental health unit to ensure that we're reaching out, but we need more resources. And that's the challenge that we have as a city, is making sure that we've got the right resources. We are resource constrained more than any other city like size in our entire state. And so I welcome the continuing discourse and the conversation. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today for our Facebook Live. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Again, Brian, I want to thank you for your time today and coming on board and letting us know what's going on there and understanding that there's great work going on. We've got challenges that we'll continue to work through and questions that we'll continue to answer, but we will get there. I'm confident of it. And for the questions, folks, thank you so very, very much. Can't say thank you enough. Please stay tuned. If you want to hear more and learn more, GreshamOregon.gov. We've got great resources there, and we'll continue to update those resources as we talk about the levy, the potential fees, and how it's going to help our city move forward from a funding mechanism. And not just that, really help us to achieve that vision that we've set out for our city here in Gresham so that we can survive and thrive and become one of the top cities in the country. With that, enjoy this incredibly beautiful day. Spring is just around the corner, and we'll see you next month.